Yo, look at Fonte. Fonte, my man. Little brother.
Fonte.
What up?
What up, Fonte?
What's going on, brother? Good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you. It's an honor to meet you, brother.
Oh,
seriously.
Man, likewise.
No. I mean, what you've done, I mean, from the slum conversations with T3 to the daylight conversations, I mean, bro, your name is synonymous. Your crew is synonymous. And I always have to show my salute and my ultimate respect to pioneers like yourself.
Oh, man, that's love, brother. Thank you so much. I received that, man. Likewise. Thank you.
For sure, bro. You just don't know how much your music means to all of us, man. Like, you know, us being sons of De La and Tribe and just coming from that cloth, groups like yourselves, like you, Slum Village, you guys definitely continue the baton, and I'm proud of you. Everything that you've done, and even transitioning into this new medium, it's really dope.
Thank you so much, man.
So I guess we just started the episode already.
Flowers. Start with flowers. Raining flowers everywhere.
Hey,
we started with flowers.
Humility. I start with humility, brothers, because you guys are always giving people flowers. Now it's time for you to know what you mean to hip hop culture and to hip hop kids like myself that started as b-boys, break dancers on the block, just wanting to put on for our communities, our ancestry. And fortunately, hip hop was the conduit. You know, breaking was the first thing I got into. Then I got into graffiti, MCing. I met my tribe, will.i.am and Apple Diap, and we became brothers and became Black Eyed Peas. So when I see folks like yourself, like Amir and Fonte, who set the tone for hip hop culture, I always got to give you your flowers.
That's love, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, this is the first time where the guest actually winds up entering the show. Ladies and gentlemen,
we're recording.
Yes, we are.
All right, I'm rolling.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another exciting episode of Questlove Supreme. I'm your host, Questlove. We have Fonticolo in the house. Brother, how's it going?
I'm all right, man. I'm cool. Just resting and getting ready for Thursday and Friday of this week. It'll have been passed by the time this aired, but we Boston and New York this week, so I'm just resting, getting ready, man.
Is this a major tour or is this
Nah, I mean, it's not major in the sense of it's a lot of dates. We just did San Diego and Orange County last weekend. And then this week is Boston and New York. June we play Roots Picnic. And
never heard of it.
It's fuck this. I'm back in the house. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Wait, I gotta ask, do you feel like you I know that of all of us on this show, that you more than anyone has been extremely, like, almost what I will say is Fort Knox level protective of not catching the vid.
Yeah, man.
And you went out and then you got caught out there.
I caught out. My first time leaving the house, my first run in 3 years. Our first LB run, that we went and we did San Diego and Orange County. And I got hit.
Now that you got, I mean, was it like, for me, it was like just having a cold. Was it that way for you, or was it like a little worried there
it was like having a cold, but for me it was more so, it wasn't necessarily just having a cold, it was just participating in the delusion that this shit is gone, right? And like that's just the part that I just refuse to do anymore. Like, it's not, in terms of what touring is now, touring pre-COVID and touring post-COVID is just very different. And it's like now, particularly for artists like us, I mean, where you're pretty much doing everything, like, because promoters don't really do shit no more. So for me, I just looked at it from the standpoint of like, okay, I gotta play promoter, producer, performer, curator, and the fucking CDC. Fuck this, dude. Nah.
Damn.
I'm good. They can
okay. Unpaid bill.
Sir.
It's been a minute since I've seen you.
I went to get cigarettes again. I went to Australia. I'm back.
You went to Australia?
I was in Australia for a few weeks to put up a show. Now it's up. Now I'm back.
What show?
It's called & Juliet. You haven't seen it yet, but you've threatened to a few times. It's on Broadway. Now it's in Australia.
Wait, you guys are making it worldwide already?
Global domination, my friend. Global domination. That's how we do.
Love it.
Well, damn, with the songbook, I would suspect that & Juliet will probably be a 5 to 10 year staple.
I hope so. That'd be nice for my kids' college tuition and all.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Thanks, buddy.
Sugar Steve, esteemed jazz label head. What's going on?
How are you? Everything's okay. We finished 3 records this past weekend.
Hey,
One of them yours.
Yes.
We finished mixing David Murray, Ray Angry, and Questlove, a 4-platter box set that you can look forward to.
Steve talked me into making my second jazz offering in my life.
Mm-hmm.
We calling the Philadelphia Experiment the first one?
Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay.
Which I don't necessarily call jazz, but this one was actually probably I had more fun doing this one. I think there's a lot of treats in there. So you're saying it's a box set that we're releasing?
Yeah, 4 platters and a 7-inch inside, and it's going to be coming later this year.
Damn, son. Shit, I might have to do liner notes for that. Have we lost our queen today?
Yeah, she's on stage doing something.
He's
for
emceeing something for Jill.
Oh, okay.
Word up.
She came and set us up. That's nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say that our distinguished guest today has what I would say has checked many a bucket list fulfillment since having entered our lives some 25 plus years ago as 1/3 or 1/4, how you want to look at it, as 1/3 member of a legendary hip hop outfit, having created over 9 studio albums that have worldwide sales over 33 million. Yo, just looking at the stats made me feel like I'm not working hard enough in life. 97 platinum awards. I was way too lazy to keep total of the gold awards, but I stopped counting after 100. Over 12 major world tours, over 60 various awards, from the AMAs to BT, Soul Train Awards, Latin Awards, for Billboard, for even the NAACP Awards, 6 Grammys, countless MTV Awards. But it's not even about the quantity, ladies and gentlemen. It's to me, the achievements are cool, but in this episode we aim to get to know the person behind the achievements and get to know them. And many of us were a majority of us were unaware of his advocacy work. Now the thing is, when I start talking, I feel like I expose myself when I try to talk sports. Shut up, Steve. Or comics. Shut up, Steve. Okay. Yes, I'm the guy that says the sports, the comics. But I'll say that with having created indigenous characters, and it's sort of expanding the world of Marvel is a wonderful thing. Be it the Red Wolf series or the Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man. He's also an author of a kid's book about identity. And most importantly, he's been extremely vocal in his memoirs and his interviews, being an advocate for surviving cancer and using this platform to connect and encourage others that share that same experience. And at the end of the day, I will say that he's just an overall a shining light and a really cool dude. And please welcome to QLS, MC, author, political activist, actor, dancer, singer, songwriter, producer, and yes, survivor, Jamie Gomez, aka Taboo, of the Black Eyed Peas. Welcome, sir.
Thank you a lot. Yo, first of all, I got to acknowledge Steve for being a comic head. Steve, salute to you, brother. The fact that Amir passed it on to you and said, sports, comics, not my thing. It's all good, brother. All good. It's storytelling. So salute to you, Steve. And then Bill, you had me at 2 daughters. No. Seriously. When you said I'm a father of 2 daughters, I would say my greatest gift is being a husband and a father, because there's no motives behind that other than love. And I'm not trying to be kumbaya or Hallmark card, but this is real. This is who I am. All the accolades and all the stuff that's monetary and all that stuff, when you're battling cancer, ladies and gentlemen, that shit's so irrelevant. That shit is so irrelevant because you're like, yo, just give me one more chance to be with my kids. Let me hug my wife one more time. Let me get on that stage one more time with my crew so that I can perform and bring healing to people that need it. So I just wanted to get that and be transparent and candid about how much love I have for life. Beyond any music, beyond any career, I'm enjoying just being able to have opportunities like this to give my testimony and meet people like you, Bill, and meet people like you, Steve, who, you know, I've met Amir. I'm a fan of Fonte. I know what they bring to culture. I love them for what they bring and who they are as human beings. But to be able to see the team that brings this all together and give you your flowers and salute you for what you make this whole team happen, you guys got to know that too. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. I'm all about that, man. I'm telling you, Amir,
We received that. Thank you.
Humility is freaking key. A lot of people get caught up in their own shit, and I'm not trying to do that, brother. I surrendered ego a long time ago. And so
how old are your daughters, man?
Well, I have one daughter.
Oh, yeah, just one. Okay, how?
Guess what? I have 3 boys and 1 daughter. My daughter was born as a miracle baby after my doctor said, you're not going to be able to have any more children because you have stage 2 testicular cancer. So the chemotherapy is going to be so aggressive, intense, and it's going to break down everything that's good in your body to kill that one thing that's bad in your body. And so he said, unfortunately, you're probably not going to have any more children. So my daughter, my one and only daughter, Jet Juliana, was born as a miracle baby. And so when you said that, Bill, I was like, yo, there's only been one other person that has inspired me like that, and that was Kobe Bryant. I had a chance to build my brother Kobe, and his love and his appreciation for being such an amazing girl dad was something that sparked me to become a writer of books and comics and be a storyteller and really focus on my kids and kids around the world. Bring inclusion, bring a mosaic of cultures that's represented through storytelling, and do it in a way where it's fun. There's music, there's art, there's culture, and it's done very genuine and authentic.
So let me ask you, for your life, when was the paradigm shift in which you had this awakening and this zest for life?
For people that remember the earlier work of the Black Eyed Peas, I looked very different back then because I wasn't taking care of myself. I looked more depleted. My cheekbone structure was very profound. I had long hair. I was weighed like 110 pounds because I was using and abusing. And I'm very candid about it. When I became sober is when I found that first moment of clarity for myself. And I only speak for me because I was going crazy, bro. I was living the rock star lifestyle. I went from sleeping on mom's couch to having my first, success with Where's the Love. And that was in 2003. So from 1995, when we started Black Eyed Peas, to 2003, I was building this bravado and this energy, hip hop, grab your crotch, all that shit. I'm an MC, I'm a B-boy, I'm a battle you, yeah, right? You're building this bravado. So your confidence sometimes turns into ego, especially when you're going crazy with overindulging. And so I started overindulging, started getting money, overindulging. And I wrote a book about it, another book, before I wrote the kids' book about identity, because I wanted to help people that have addiction or going through addiction. And in 2007, March 27th, that was the day that I changed my whole perspective, because I wanted to live for my kids. I was living dangerously, I was living recklessly, and I had to surrender. That was my first moment of surrendering, because my ego was out of control, and it kept saying, "You're the shit. Nobody could fuck with you. You're unstoppable. You're part of this mega crew, yada, yada, yada." But in actuality, I was just a human that was trying to fill voids with alcoholism and drug use. And I'm candid about it because I want people to take inspiration from this. Even if they're like, well, we didn't know that you were going through that. Well, I never really publicly talked about it. I actually did the work and the due diligence and the ways to be able to give back and to be of service. And so from that point on, my first step of moment of clarity was sobriety. So now going on 16 years of being removed from that time period, in 2014, I get hit with cancer. And as men, we don't talk about that shit ever. I ain't gotta get tested. Oh man, my testicles, you need to touch my nuts. I ain't gotta get tested. What do you mean go to the doctor? Nah, I'm gonna go on tour. I got tours, I got shows to do, right? So that was the mentality. I got shows to do. So I had this back pain and my right testicle was hurting, but I was like, it's cool. It's all right. It's wear and tear of the road. And so in 2014 was the year that all came crashing down for me, and I got diagnosed with stage 2 testicular cancer, which it went to my 2 lymph nodes in my spine, and I did have to go into aggressive chemotherapy 6 days a week. 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. Many long, strenuous hours of torture and trauma, mental and physical.
I've only probably really been close to one person that had to go through testing and that stuff for leukemia. Shout out to Rich Nichols, who even then, like, Rich was such a hard ass cynic that he didn't want to burden us with the human side of what it felt like. But what is the process of going through that level of chemo where 6 hours every day?
Yeah. So it's different for
what is the process?
It's different for every type of cancer. You know, for the kids unit, which is the cancer treatment center for kids, McDonald Center in Los Angeles, they have different varieties of chemotherapy that some of them are aggressive, but also you don't want to trauma the kids so much or bring trauma to the kids so much that it causes permanent damage. So with me, it was like, I'm going to go aggressive because I want to be back on stage. So I opted to do aggressive chemo because it was spreading at such a rapid rate that if I didn't do it the way that I did it with 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, then it would have prolonged the process. And it probably would have went from my spine, my lungs, and then my brain, and I would have died. And that was how the doctor explained it to me.
How long, from the moment that you found that you had it, how long did it take you to acknowledge it and like, all right, let me start treatment?
I got checked in on a Thursday. I was doing chemo on that Monday. So I had surgery Friday to get my right testicle removed.
So as far as you were concerned, you were just like, damn, man, like my back is killing me. I can't dance like I used to. Let me go get this fixed. And then that's how you found out you had cancer? Or?
Well, it was like I had pain in my back, and it was more about like being able to pick my kids up more than dancing.
Okay.
It was something very innate to my life. Like the dancing thing is only like an hour or 2 hours when I'm on stage, but I live a daily life of being a father. And so something as simple as like trying to bend over to pick up my kid, I had this sharp pain in my back. So I was like, yo, there's something wrong with me. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's wear and tear of being on tour. Mm-hmm. Tell my wife. My wife says, hey, if this continues to get worse, you need to go to the ER. Unfortunately, at 12 midnight, it got worse. So I don't know how I did it. I got in my car, drove to the ER, and I went straight into getting MRI, CAT scans, CT scans. And by 7 a.m., they told me I was diagnosed with cancer. They didn't tell me what type of cancer. They just said, we found a mass, which is 4 centimeters wide, 4 centimeters long, like a tennis ball, and it's in your spine. And it came from your right testicle.
Does it run in your family? Is it hereditary?
I was the first one, brother.
Wow. That's a lot of thing. That's
so let me just give you guys, because I know this is a fun show and everybody's upbeat.
No, this is a human. No. This is a human show. And
this is a human show.
Normally, I just start with your creative life, but you went there, so I want to know this for me.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give you guys the ultimate connection to me as a human being, because I love what you guys do with the show, how you guys take journeys of like the dark side, the light, the career triumphs. But this one for me was the thing that kind of shaped and molded who I am today as a father, as a husband, as a storyteller, as a creative. because I probably wouldn't have understood being a voice to Indigenous communities if I didn't go through this trauma. Because after I beat this horrible disease, I said to myself, what's my higher purpose beyond being an entertainer, beyond doing music? Wait a minute. I think I got to go and be of service. So I went to Standing Rock. Standing Rock was they say it's a protest. We call it a protection of sacred land at that time, which is the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. They were trying to build the oil pipeline that would eventually, bring oil into the water, drinking water of the tribal community that surround that. So
you were part of those protesters that you're. Oh, wow. Okay.
As Jimmy Gomez, an activist, as a Native kid that just wanted to stand in solidarity. It wasn't about Black Eyed Peas. It was just me. I took my oldest son, Josh, and we were there as Native activists, giving back to the community, trying to just be of service. And then I figured out how I can be a voice and really use this huge megaphone that is Black Eyed Peas to bring more eyeballs and more visibility to tribal issues, whether we're talking about pipelines, or we're talking about Indigenous Peoples Day in Los Angeles, we're talking about the Native Nations March, or bringing more conversation in mainstream media that has an Indigenous lens that's very genuine and authentic and not stereotypical like we've seen in the past. And so that was kind of like my aha moment to be that guy. It was like, yo, Black Eyed Peas, yo, Will's all about technology, Apple's all about the Philippines, yo, I'm going to be about this. I'm going to activate this amazing opportunity to inspire the youth in tribal communities, in the Latino community, because I'm Mexican as well. Why don't I use this energy that I've been putting on stage for so many years and now bring light to the fight against cancer, advocating for Indigenous communities, and actually do something to bring light and hope to the people?
Yeah, I was going to say that in doing research for your story.
Yes, sir.
And having just turned 52 2 months ago, I'd suddenly asked myself a question. I'm like, wait a minute. I think when you turn 50, you're supposed to start getting tests to see, because I'm one of those people, I have been living with like stage 2 lymphedema for about like since like 98, like for 25 years.
Can I
or
be
so.
honest with you about something?
Yeah.
I noticed that about you because I saw the fluctuating of your health.
Yeah.
And from
exactly.
as a friend from afar, seeing you at certain events, I'll be like, yo, just going through my struggles and my illness. Same thing that happened with Dave, rest in peace, for Boy. I had that same conversation. And it was so candid and it was so on a human level that he inspired me more than any De La Soul track or any song or any message or any lyric, because we bonded as brothers. And so, I noticed that about you. And I got to say, man, like you, without even knowing, you are one of those warriors that have inspired me too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it took, at the time I just ignored it. And I never heard the term lymphedema. I was just like, oh, damn, I got fat. Like suddenly I gained 17 pounds overnight. Like, how does that happen? And I didn't realize, like, every day I have massive swelling in like in different limbs or whatnot. Just every day was sort of like a roulette change of a roulette wheel result of, all right, what's going to be affected today? Oh, my arms. Okay, great. So it took me that's why I asked you, like, from the time you were diagnosed to the time that you immediately went to get it checked out, like it took me 9 years to finally, and it's only because of a mistake. Like I was changing for a video. My manager saw me and like, what the fuck happened to your legs, Amir? And then like he rushed me to the hospital. So, and I know I'm at that age now where my mental health and my physical health is like paramount. And so like I took my first, and I had a fear, sometimes ignorance is bliss sometimes with people. And I had a general fear, like kept putting it off. Okay, when I turn 51, I'm gonna get the test. I'm gonna do my cancer test and all that stuff. So I definitely knew that before we started this interview, I didn't want to have to face you and been like hiding, like, damn, I've been putting this off for 2 years. I did my test like a week and a half ago. So,
That's
I'm
dope.
good, clean bill of health.
That's
But
dope.
yeah,
So, man.
but I do know that oftentimes because of our unwillingness to catch it early or that sort of thing, or to even find out, we'd rather just live in bliss, and then it's too late and your body starts talking to you, and then you have that pain. So, but yeah, I will say that in doing research and seeing your story, then I guess that kind of pushed me over the ledge. Like, all right, man, just start doing your test, bro. Like,
That's
get
dope.
this together. So,
Well, we need more heroes without capes in our communities that activate. Just health is wealth, man, and I learned that the hard way. I'm not a preacher. I will never preach health and wellness, but I will shine light on it and be like, yo, we need that more in the hip hop community. I see a lot of our pioneers that are not taking care of themselves, and I'm like,
yes.
yo, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a fan of these pioneers, and some of them just, and it's sad because with a little bit of prevention, with a little bit of conversation and communication, which can help bring that light. Like that's something that, I would like to do that for communities, just like what Lance Armstrong did. And I know the whole scandal was whack and it just ended up like bullshit, right? But if I can be that conduit of hope with my experience so that folks don't have to go through it and can prevent it, just like what you said, Amir, you're like, oh, I saw your story and I'm like, fuck, okay, it's 51. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Maybe it was a little nudge that you didn't even expect it. Maybe because you saw what I went through, you're like, you know what? All right, let me go get checked, right?
It's definitely the nudge. It is the nudge that finally made me
nudge.
call my doctor and been like, all right, I'm coming in. Let me, so
And
I want to credit you with that.
Yeah, man, it's a conversation that I think is healthy to have. It's holistic. It's a way that we can bring something that you're trying to support and nurture the idea of just wanting to see your people succeed. And not only in music or arts, but also in taking care of themselves.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now I'm really going to start QLS style. Tell us where were you born? Where were you born?
I was born in East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, California.
Okay.
Yep.
What's for you, what's your memories of what your childhood was?
My grandmother. My grandmother was a beautiful Native woman from Jerome, Arizona. She represented her roots to the T. She was all about being of service, sometimes to her own detriment, her own health, which taught me a lot about like, hey, I'm gonna help, but I'm not gonna put my health before anybody else. She was all about the arts and music and dancing. It goes hand in hand with our ancestry. We use dancing as a way of prayer, healing. If you look at old powwow style dancers, a lot of it is just stories that are being told through their style and their expression. And they use that as a form of healing and prayer. And so growing up, my grandmother kind of instilled that dancing, performing mentality at 5 years old. And I would be dancing to like, Kraftwerk and African Bambaataa. And, I got into Kraftwerk because of African Bambaataa and Soul Sonic Force. I started studying where that whole electronic style came from. And then after that, I saw, when we saw break-in and you saw what's the name doing the freaking
broom scene.
Broom scene. You're like, yo, what's that? Oh, wait, that's Kraftwerk? Wait a minute. So I started doing a deep dive into like not just hip hop culture, but also where it comes from and where that electronic vibe came from. So, and growing up, I started really sharpening my swords as a b-boy, breaking, being inspired by breakers like Crazy Legs and the Rocksteady crew from New York, but also a lot of dancers from the West Coast, like Poppin' Pete, Boogaloo Shrimp, Jeffrey Daniels, who was part of Shalimar. He was dope, feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Like he was ill with it. He taught Mike, MJ a lot of the stuff, but also like Leg 1, Leg 2, MC Lights dancers, Mission Impossible special eds dancers, Kid and Play, to Scheme Team, which was Divine Stylers dancers, Soul Brothers, that was Def Jeff's dancers.
Yeah.
The scrap.
The
you know,
Far Side. Yeah.
Yeah, the Far Side. You know, and I mean the Mop Tops from Buddha Stretch from New York. Like I had such an innate love for freestyle dance, and then it got into housing. Once housing came in, I was like, "Yo, what's this?" Because when I heard the Jungle Brothers say, "Girl, I'll house you," I was like, "Housing," and I started doing research on like Soho and hot music, hot music, hot doom 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 doom. I was like, "Yo, what's that style?" So I started seeing these different styles. Herb Alpert, North on South Street, watching those videos, and really immersing myself in the art form of dance. And then I started studying the greats, Nicholas Brothers, James Brown, Sammy Davis, Bob Fosse, all these amazing dancers that came from the past. And I started incorporating these styles and wanted to bring this hip hop clash of like all these unique frequencies of movement. And so that was my upbringing, man. That's what I remember. This is before me even meeting Will and Apple, before we even became Black Eyed Peas. I started a group called Divine Tribal Brothers. And of course, we were sons of tribe, and we loved the Jungle Brothers, so Tribal Brothers, right?
Right.
Will and Apple were Tribal Nation, because Zulu Nation and Tribe, Tribe Called Quest. So eventually we became a crew, and the name of our crew was Grassroots, and we were trying to do like the native tongues in the West Coast because we were so inspired by the native tongues.
Was it just your grandmother? Was it mom and dad in the picture? Like who was it?
My mom was in the picture, but she was born in East LA, very typical mom from East LA. She was she didn't see it like my grandmother saw it. She knew. She's like, you get on stage and you give the best version of yourself, and don't ever stop fighting when you're on that stage, right? So that b-boy mentality, that killer, that apex predator mentality, battle came from my grandmother's will and her energy. Like, yeah, I love Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and all these sports figures, and Bruce Lee was a big, huge inspiration. I love kung fu movies, martial black belt theater, love Billy Jack, love watching those old school 80s movies too. But my grandmother was my superhero. And I think that's why I kind of really got into storytelling and being a superhero advocate, because my grandmother was my hero without a cape.
Oh, wait, actually, Fonte, I just found out something crazy. Oh, you mentioned two songs. One, all right, so Jerry Heller, and this is pre Ruthless Jerry Heller, Priority Records era Jerry Heller. But Jerry Heller basically had kind of like the West Coast version. I think he had a distribution deal with Malaco Records, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Fonte, I believe Malaco was kind of the home of,
that was all the blues, like ZZ.
Yeah, all the liquor house stuff. But there's a period in 82, 83, 84 where, like, if you are a West Coaster, like if you're somehow 6 degrees to Uncle Jam's Army and you're making a record. So I'm talking about Arabian Prince. I'm talking about early.
KDAY?
Well, I mean, not Greg Mack and those guys, but I just mean like in terms of making records. Chances are you're going to be on one of Jerry Heller's subsidiary labels. So like, when Bobby, Jimmy, and the Critters are doing Roaches, that's a Jerry Heller label. The World Class Wrecking Crew, Jerry Heller label. Like, you had to go to Jerry Heller, and thus easy going to Jerry Heller to start Ruthless. But I just found out what we all thought was Kraftwerk. What we all thought was Kraftwerk in Breakin' was actually, because another thing is kind of the cover song, or with West Coast there's the rap version of Erotic City, there's a rap version of State of Shock by the Jacksons, like that sort of thing. So basically, one of Arabian Prince's dudes, a group called 10 Speed.
Wow.
And shout out to Arabian Prince also. Like, I don't think the world knows that he's like the #1 tech nerd. Like, no, literally, Arabian Prince kind of built during that whole time when we were like DJing online and all that stuff.
Oh,
it's Arabian Prince that built my system. Like, he's the guy you go to for any like war games level tech nerd shit. Like he's the king of that world right now. But yeah, some group named Tim Speed covered Tour de France, and someone gave me the 12-inch, and I was like, holy shit! This whole time, and when you listen to the Kraftwerk version and the 10 speed version, the 10 speed version of Tour de France is the more b-boy heavy drum pop locking version. You know, similar to Bambaataa taking, you know,
Yo, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
You're good.
You're my boy, and I wanna give you a little bit of insight.
Hit me.
So for many years, people have been saying that word incorrect.
Which word?
Pop locking.
Okay.
That doesn't exist.
All right.
As a b-boy, you are either popping or you're locking. It's not pop locking. That's like that is like a big no-no in the b-boy community. So
what's the difference?
The difference is that popping is one style and locking is another style. Pop locking doesn't exist.
Okay.
Popping and locking are two different styles. So when you put it all together, it's kind of like an old man word. You know
I get it.
Was popping, was that more East Coast and locking?
West Coast.
West Coast.
West Coast. You had lockers, you had boogaloos, you had poppers, and they all came from gangster shit. Crips were popping, right? So the West Coast was filled with, yo, these dudes in the East Coast are doing this groundwork, they're doing windmills, they're doing all this crazy shit on the floor. How can we be different? And you had Mr. Wiggles in Rocksteady doing his shit, Mr. Freeze, but in the West Coast, we were heavy on popping and then locking, which what's his name? Fred Berry used to do from
What's Happening?
Right.
What's Happening, right? He was a locker, but he was also a boogaloo because he used to do boogaloo. And you would see it on Soul Train. You would see the different styles on Soul Train. So
I was going to ask, did you ever get to meet like I guess the father of it all, at least Jeffrey Daniels credits Don Campbell Lott.
Yeah,
Campbell
used to be at Radiotron. So as a young kid, I used to go to Radiotron a lot and battle as a kid. And there would be all these different b-boy jams. Kebalon, Radiotron. Then you had Freestyle Session, which came a little later. You had Unity with Bigga B. I think you performed it there.
Yeah, we did Unity.
Bigga B.
So the Radiotron from Breakin' was an actual place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of those lockers like Camelot, he was part of that, like the initial first run. And then Ice-T was like on some hip hop shit. He wasn't even a gangster, bro. He was like wearing spikes and like, what was it called? Reckless?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Did you speaking of which, we got to get Tony Basil on the show as well.
Oh, word. She's dope.
The world doesn't, the world thinks of her as just Mickey, but not many people know that she's one of the founding members of the Lockers dance unit. You mentioned Hot Music by Soho. Just found out that Soho was basically, you remember Pal Joey?
Pal Joey, absolutely. Pal Joey in the house. Yeah.
I did not know. So Pal Joey, who's kind of an engineer for KRS One. So I guess around the time when they're making Sex and Violence, I think D Nice told me the story that basically all those patches belong to D Nice and KRS One. Like that's how he made Hot Music. But Pal Joey was making like house records on the side, just for extra cash and whatnot. So
wow.
Did not know that.
That's kind of like how we looked at, when we started getting that frequency of international EDM, electronic music around the world, whether it was Justice or the David Guetta, we were traveling the world, and we're like, yo, remember that era of like Girl I House You and the Technotronic pump up the jam?
Yeah.
Yo, remember Soho, hot me. We started talking about how we can connect and bring whatever was happening around the world and bring that same frequency that Jungle Brothers was doing when they did Girl I House You, but just doing it Black Eyed Peas style and utilizing those inspirations and those sounds and those frequencies that were electronic, that were popping around the world, that in turn became the Boom Boom Pows and the I Gotta Feelings and those big records that we did in 2008 to 2011. And so all we did was just regurgitate the inspiration that came from Jungle Brothers and those folks that were transitioning into that.
Yeah, electro music. Yeah.
Electro music, yeah.
When I talk to anyone from LA that's a dancer, the first thing they always tell me is that, you know, it wasn't vogue and it's called whacking. There's a whacking culture, whacking culture, whacking. Like, what was, I guess from the outsider standpoint, I mean, I'm a DJ, but I don't really get many opportunities to do like house parties like on frequently, maybe like 4 or 5 times a year. Some club will hire me to do a house set or whatever. But, you know, were you at all part of the whacking community?
It was a pretty tight niche. We were part of the freestyle, the Adrian Youngs. You know, Adrian Young, before he became a producer.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Before Adrian Young became a producer with Ali Shaheed Muhammad, yo, this dude was an incredible dancer, bro. Like, he had the dreadlocks. My man Adrian Young was one of the illest dancers, and we all came up together, you know. So shout out to Adrian Young for his transition into becoming an amazing cultivist of the culture. He's just such a big inspiration because he did start as a dancer. He started as a freestyle dancer with us.
Were you part of the Good Life community at all, or was that like sort of before?
We had our own thing. We had our own thing called Peace and Justice Center, which Black Eyed Peas spawned out of it. We also had Pumpkin Head, who used to come out of there. Not a lot of main artists came out of there, but we had love and appreciation for the Abstract Rudes and the fellowships and, you know, Medusa and all those folks.
Oh, Medusa. Okay.
Yeah, Medusa. But we weren't that part of LA. We weren't in Leimert Park. We were in East LA, Glendale, San Gabriel Valley, Los Feliz. Like, that was our world. That was our stomping grounds. And we were more in the Filipino community because of Apple. He was the guy that would bring us to the Filipino parties. So that's kind of where we were sharpen our swords and battle other crews.
My idea of battling really just stems from watching Beat Street and that sort of thing. But, you know, when you go to a function, like take us back to 1990 or 91. If you're going to a function, are you going there to flex that I will outdance all of you? Like, how does a battle start?
It's more of a spiritual warfare, bro, more than out dance you. It's more like when, you know, when you see the X-Men battling Scratch Pickles, or you see the Beat Junkies battling these other DJs, and they're killing it. It's the same mentality for dancers or B-boys or freestyle dancers. Like, we are in there as apex predators to see who's got the illest shit. How dope are you rapping? What's the dopest moves that you're bringing to be able to show that you're representing your crew? And we watch movies like Rack Shop by the Mop Tops and Wow Style, and you know, we learn from the greats, watching the battles between Rocksteady and the other crews, and seeing how they would go into it and be able to present this beautiful art form that was ghetto gymnastics that we would do in our backyards practicing, and then we would bring it to the stage, and it was a performance. Basically, it was like people were watching us battle. And then Will would get on the mic and battle on the MC tip. He was a killer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a killer on the MC, on the freestyle tip. Okay. And so there was this club called Ballistics, which Bud Bundy, aka David Faustino, used to put out, and it was a hip hop club. Yeah. And basically, we would have, you know, crews from Pasadena, from LA, from South Central come to battle at the spot in Hollywood. And that's where Buckwheat was at. That's where the Far Side, Exhibit, Robin Thicke, Paula Patton, Leonardo DiCaprio, we all came to Alyssa Milano. We all came to this club when we were all teenagers. And Black Eyed Peas, that's where we met. And that's where we started kind of like conjugating at this club called Ballistics.
When these battles happen, like, is there a particular crew or a person to whom, like, you were like, nah, man, I'm gonna destroy him when I see him next, or that sort of thing? Like what's the battle mentality to discredit another dancer? Not discredit another dancer, but like, how does one determine who won a dance battle?
I think it's more about the crews, you know. and just getting the name up and getting your name, because the crew would give you merit in every city. If you're dominating these battles, it wasn't about money back then. There was no money. It was like, when you watch 8 Mile, like Eminem just battling. There was no, like, it's like, yo, you're battling for reputation, right? And then you're battling at that time in the 89, 90. It's like, yo, I might be seen by somebody that I can probably make this a living, right? Because we don't know. We're like, we see people on television, we see people in the movies, like, oh yeah, I'm a dancer, I'm a b-boy. Maybe I can get a Footloose opportunity. Maybe I can be on David Letterman, like the way that Crazy Legs was. You know what I'm saying? So there's just, as a kid from the inner cities, you're just like, yo, this is my opportunity to express myself. At that time, I wasn't rapping. I was just breakdancing or freestyle dancing. And then I started elevating my mentality to be able to utilize performance, dancing, and then with the guidance and the strength and the leadership of Will, I was like, yo, maybe I can do this rap thing too and represent and utilize this as another weapon. Production, songwriting, breaking, and like the way Chris Brown was, Chris Brown had that same type of philosophy. It's like, I could be a triple threat, break it down, because he wasn't just a regular dancer, or not just a regular dancer.
Yeah.
He's actually one of my favorites because he's able to do street dancing and not, he can do choreography, but he can also have his own freestyle bounce to it.
What was the point in which you knew or seriously pursued, like, okay, this is what I want to do for a living?
My first job was at Disneyland picking up horse manure after the electrical parade. I was dealing with a lot of shit back then, ladies and gentlemen.
All that shit.
I was dealing with a lot of shit, but it taught me being on point, as far as like being punctual, work ethic, humility, because I was dealing with a lot of shit, but also being part of a corporate structure. And during the day, I was working at Disneyland, and at night I was performing with Will and Apple, which was what was to become Black Eyed Peas. And so I had a day job to be able to facilitate my dream at night. Just like what you guys used to do, Amir, at the was it called Lila's? Was that spot? What was that spot called?
Well, the 5 spot, yeah.
Yeah. The early years, right?
Yes.
So we used to do that same thing. We used to go to this Peace and Justice Center and just sharpen our swords, do like a jam, or we had a live band and we would rock out and we would do these performances. And so even though we weren't getting paid a lot of money, maybe like $100, $200, we looked at it like, oh, this is a start of something. Maybe we can, continue to grow this art form and this vehicle called Black Eyed Peas, and this could become something. So, we're straight out of high school, man. We're 17, 18-year-old kids that had $1 in a dream or $2 in a dream for gas. And so Disneyland was my first initial job fulfilling the dream, because that was the way I was able to pay for gas or meals to get to the studio or to my performance.
I was gonna ask, had y'all officially become At Band Clan at that point?
No, so Will and Apple got signed at 16 as At Band Clan, and there was another brother named Mookie that was part of that trio. Eazy-E actually discovered Will and Apple at Ballistics, the Bud Bundy joint, and so he signed them. He was like, "Yo, I love what you guys represent. You guys are kind of like the West Coast version of A Tribe Called Quest or Diggable Planets. You guys are like, you got that whatever he said, bohemian rap or whatever, because he didn't know how to explain it."
All right.
And so he's like, I'm gonna do the same thing Diggable and Tribe did in the East Coast. I'm gonna do that for you guys here in the West Coast. And so unfortunately, Eazy passed away in '95. And so that was kind of the moment where Will was like, yo, we gotta start a new thing. It can't be At Band Clan. So let's just, I don't know, let's call it Blue Unit. Nah, that's whack. Let's call it Beans and Rice. Why? Nah, that shit's kind of whack. What about Black Eyed Peas? Black Eyed Peas, what does that represent? Black Eyed Peas is soul food. We could feed the soul with our music. Oh shit, okay, Black Eyed Peas. And Black Eyed Peas brings good luck during New Year's, we bring good luck with our music. So we started coming up with cool ideas about what Black Eyed Peas represented. And plus, there wasn't a lot of food groups out there other than the Chili Peppers.
Right.
So yeah. So then after that, we just started grinding, man, doing shows in LA, doing, like rock venues because we had a live band, thanks to the Roots for inspiration. And we just started building a following to the point where Jimmy Iovine's nephew, DJ Mormelli from Interscope, actually presented our little tape to Jimmy Iovine.
Fonte, you're kind of a part of this, but you and Pooh don't necessarily do like Run DMC tug of war style, but in the Peas, there are various songs in which you guys trade lines and that sort of thing. Can you describe to me like what is the creative process when you are 1/3 of a unit and you're creating a song? And of course there's the old, all right, you get one verse, you get one verse, you get one verse, but who decides which verse goes first? Who's the first voice to be heard? Who decides, like, when you guys are writing songs in which you are trading like tug of war lines? Like, walk me through just the creative process of how you guys develop your lyrics.
Yeah, I would say the best way to describe the most recent exchange of even shared contributions is this album called Masters of the Sun, which we put out in 2018, which is probably
I fucking love that record. Yes.
Thank you, brother. Which is our best work. It's not a pop record. It's a strictly Black Eyed Peas is showing you what we still are capable of doing as hip hop kids, as MCs. We got to work with our freaking one of our mentors, Lalo Schiffer, doing all these transitions.
Yeah.
So that being said, we were just in the studio, just vibing, like jumping around and just acting like we were 17 again. And that's what the Peas is. It's like it's a friendship. We've had different iterations of, as you mentioned earlier, about like, is it a third? Is it a fourth? Shout out to all the ladies that have been part of our journey. But at the end of the day, like Black Eyed Peas is myself, where I am in Apple, and it's always been that. And so what you see on stage is us jumping around, having a good time, just, not taking ourselves too seriously, not to De La Soul, not to De La, because they said the same thing that inspired us. So we do that. We are in the studio and we're building and we say a couple words. Oh, I don't like that line. Maybe we change that line. All right, App, what do you got? App will say something and then we just start exchanging. And then you have your traditional like, yo, Tab, what you got? Yo, I got this verse. Okay, you go first. All right, well, we got this. So there's no recipe. It's just, we're scientists in there. We tap into a frequency that we want to display on every song, and it comes out magical because we know our formula. We know how to maneuver on stage and in the studio as a trio.
Oh, go ahead.
You spoke briefly about the ladies that y'all worked with over the years. I want to ask you specifically about Kim Hill. I really love her. Like, love fan of her. What memories do you have of working with her during that time? First
of all, I just want to acknowledge all the ladies that have worked with us. And Kim Hill set the tone. She's been such an amazing piece of our history. And for those folks that don't know, she's an amazing designer as well. She has some pieces.
DJ.
She's a DJ. She's a great mom. And she's an all-around amazing person. So she just set the tone for us because she was older than us at the time when we started Black Eyed Peas. So she was kind of like an older sister figure to us. And she kept us in line when we were on tour. We're like teenagers. She was in her early 20s and we were like, still kind of goofy and messing around. And she'd be like, yo, guys, we got a show tomorrow, whatever. But it was cool because we looked at her as like an older sister and she always showed love. She was always inspirational. And to this day, I'll hit her up on Instagram and we have a mutual respect for each other. So I'm glad you said that, man, because she contributed a lot to the first two albums, Behind the Front and Bridging the Gap. And, she's just she's amazing. And I'm proud of everything that she's doing now. So salute to Kim Hill.
Can you walk us through the process of what led to the deal with Interscope from the time that you guys formed the group to getting that deal? Like, what was the process?
Lot of shows, man. A lot of shows, a lot of no's. Black Eyed Peas, you're not tangible enough. There's already a Slum Village. There's already a Roots. There's already a Fugees. What makes you think you're gonna sell records?
I feel like you're channeling the spirit of Ron Fair.
Nah, it was man. It was we dealt with a lot of no's. It's not tangible enough. I don't hear any symbols. Who are the Black Eyed Peas? What are the Black Eyed Peas? Like, what you got, a ninja and a black guy and a Filipino? Like, what are you guys?
Right.
So it's just not understanding what we were going to contribute to the world. And we always had an international mindset because Apple came from the Philippines. So we knew we wanted to make music for the world. And even if domestic didn't understand what we were trying to do with our music, because we were inspired by, Jorge Benjor and Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66 and all these amazing Brazilian artists. And we loved the samples. We loved those ideas of being able to go to Brazil one day and being able to tour Europe and making a stamp in Europe, just like the way Jimi Hendrix did, the way that the Doors did, the way that you guys did at Jazz Cafe. It was just that idea of always wanting to go international. And so, it was a journey, man. It was a journey of belief, of doubling down on ourselves when people were doubting us.
Right.
And we just continued trucking on. And fortunately, Jimmy Iovine saw the genius in what was to become Black Eyed Peas. And the thing that he said to us is, we were going through a bidding war. It was Paulie Anthony at Sony, rest in peace, at Sony 550. And it was also Tom Wally at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And then a Jimmy Iovine. And so Jimmy's like, you can make records here. No matter how many records you sell, you can have a career here with me. You can get $1 million from Sony, but who knows what they're going to do as far as your touring. You guys are a touring band. If you guys are about the money, you can go to Sony. But if you're about a career and have longevity and belief, come here. So, fortunately we chose right. And Jimmy was kind of like the godfather that led us on that path.
Like, whenever an artist puts the big hit at the very end of the album, then I always feel like, okay, maybe they didn't believe in the product or whatever. And I know that when Behind the Front came out, and there was some buzz with the Macy Gray single.
Oh no,
no.
Macy Gray was Bridging the Gap.
Yeah, Bridging the Gap, not Behind it. Yeah. So, there was a second where it was like, okay, you guys getting traction on TRL, and this is about to happen. You guys are about to do it. Could you describe what the feeling is like when it's kind of a close but no cigar moment, and then you have to make a decision on what your surviving is going to be, sink or swim? Like, Can you walk through that period?
That's when we knew the internet was real. We were like,
oh shit, okay.
This is when we found out the internet existed, and it swallowed our sales. There was this thing called Napster.
Okay.
We had all the promo, marketing, all the looks you can have. We were on tour on a college invasion tour with De La and Wyclef, and I believe it was Biz Markie. And we would go to these like little after parties, and they were playing Bridging the Gap. Bridging the Gap. We're like, yo, Will gets all mad. He's like, Tab, did you bring the record? Because the record wasn't out yet. Did you bring the record here? I was like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, who's playing the fucking record? So it was a girl. She's like, I love your new album. And Will's like, what do you mean our new album? It's not even out. He's like, yeah, it's out. It's out on Napster. He's like, what the fuck is Napster? It's like, what's Napster? She's like, Napster's like the new pirating shit. Like, you can get all these like new albums. So we basically found out that our album had been pirated, and been freaking downloaded for free. And so the momentum was like, oh shit, we did all this promo, we were on tour, TRL picked up the song, but we sold less than Behind the Front, because people are now going to Napster. So they get it for free instead of buying the CD. So then we said, yo, we got to go into creating the next record. So that's when we went into creating the Elephant album. This is 2001.
Right. So how are decisions made as far as who to work with, who to bring, like what producer to work with, what members to let in the group, or all those things? Like, how are you guys just around this point in the early aughts in terms of communication? And
it's like we're all going through our own individual issues. And I remember App being away from studio a lot. So it's me and Will heavy in the studio on Elephant. And at that time, 9/11 happened. So we were recording in Bodega Bay. 9/11 happens. We're supposed to go on tour in September 12th. We go on tour September 12th. And we travel around the US and we see all this divide, all this, all this hatred towards Middle Eastern people. And so we were like, yo, we kept asking the question, yo, where's the love within humanity? So we would go to these different spots asking the same question, where's the love within humanity? Where's the love? Okay, that's kind of dope. There's something there with this topic, where's the love? So we started creating Where's the Love, the record, the song. And we recorded these records, Where's the Love, Let's Get It Started. We recorded Hey Mama, all these joints off of Elephant. And I remember we played it for Ron Fair and he said, I don't hear a single.
What?
Yeah, I don't hear a single. So our execs were like, we don't hear a single on Elephant. Like, we got to double down. If this is our last record, what are we going to do? So at that time, we had been dealing with a girl that Will had been working with named Stacy, and she was working on a solo project. And she had been singing, like, when you have a girl in the studio, she's singing the girl parts that Will
references
wrote.
And stuff.
Yeah, so referencing stuff, but it actually sounded good. And we kept it on there, and her voice was something that we gravitated to. She was dope. She had her own group prior to us having her in the studio. She was a teenage or like a kid star. And so we're like, yo, maybe there's some magic here. So we kept on the records, and then we're like, yo, are we gonna put her in the group? Like, yo, we've had all these different females. It's not anything new. We've never, it's not that we've not had a female, because we had Kim Hill, Macy Gray, Estero, Dawn Beckman, Noelle Skaggs. All these females have worked with us, Debbie Nova. But now there was going to be a female that might not fit the mold because she's coming from a group that was more of like a pop group. So we just said, fuck it, let's go. Let's make this happen. Let's just bring in the crew. Let's take her on tour. We took her on tour. People hated it. People were like, oh man, what's this? This ain't Black Eyed Peas. I'm not feeling this. So they were hating, like, yo, it just turned negative because we have this new girl in the group, Fergie. And so we put out Where's the Love? And it smashes. Oh, before that, I went to a club in LA called Joseph's, and I met this kid who was a part of this boy band, and he's a dancer. And so he's transitioning from like this boy band to becoming a solo artist. I'm like, yo, man, if you have talent, I don't care where you're coming from, bro. Like, if you got talent, let's go, let's work. He's like, yeah, I'm working with Pharrell. I got this new project that I'm doing. I'm transitioning from this group to now doing my solo thing. I was like, yo, you think you could sing a hook on this record? All we have right now is Where's the Love, the Love, the Love. That was it. I said, can you give me something like Mercy, Mercy Me, or like What's Going On by Marvin Gaye? He says, all right, cool. Give me a minute. He goes, creates whatever he's gonna create. He calls me like, Tab, I got it. He sings it over the phone. People killing, people dying, children hurt, and you hear them crying. I'm like, yo, what? Yo, I gotta call Will. I call Will. I tell him, yo, Will, I got the hook. You're like, you got the hook? No, I got the person to sing the hook for Where's the Love. He's like, who? I said, Justin Timberlake. He's like, Justin Timberlake, the Backstreet Boy? He's like, I'm like, no, Will. He's not a Backstreet Boy. He's part of NSYNC. He's in sync. Right. He's like, that's even fucking worse, Tab. Why are we gonna have that guy sing on our hook? But I saw what he brought. I didn't care what his past or where he was coming from. It's like, if the song is great, I don't care who's singing it. Let's go. So he comes in, he records it, and the rest is magic. We put it out. It creates this huge, amazing frequency around the world. It becomes our first #1 record, and Ron Ferris put strings on it, and that was his connection to it. I always knew it was going to be a hit, little buddy.
So when this song finally takes off, what was the first paradigm shift that occurred in your life? I guess you can only have one time to have that experience in which you instantly see the shift of, first we were a niche underground group, and suddenly we might be the establishment. So what is happening? Like, what's the feeling like? What happens?
I love that you said that, because I was so proud of you transitioning into late night with Jimmy Fallon, because it was dope to see you guys, like, and that umbrella sparked you to be able to be in the space of the Oscars and have Tariq be able to be acting and all the great things that you guys have been doing. Right. So that being said, I think for us, because I love comedy, man. I'm a big, I love comedy and humor. When we were on parodied on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did that feel to be?
Yo, we made it. I'm just I'm a B-boy from East LA that just loves hip hop culture. And yes, it was tongue in cheek. It was funny. It's like they're making fun of the Black Eyed Peas, but they're mentioning the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My brother Appledy came from Philippines, not knowing a word of English, because hip hop taught him how to speak English. He read a dictionary, learned how to rap, and became a freaking huge international superstar from the Philippines.
Y'all are pop culture references like that.
So I'm like, yo, you gotta own it. Who else but us? I mean, if it's there, own it. And if people hate, all good. Oh, you guys are sellouts. Yeah, we're selling out stadiums around the world.
My manager used to tease Tariq and I about, like, he would always say, well, you guys are salty because you never got your, what he calls your Bentley moment. And his short Bentley moment was sort of a shorthand for, like, whatever it is, the life that rappers think that rappers should be going through. We should be walking in slow motion. We should be, pouring champagne all over women and whatever Hype Williams slow motion kind of life.
Shiny.
Like that experience.
You'll like this, Bill. For me, it was getting custody of my son. Being able to pay $20,000 to get full custody of my son, Josh. I was like, yo, that's worth more than any gold chain, than any Bentley, because now I'm able to raise my son on my playing ground, the way that I want to raise him. And so that was something that always bothered me, because I was a teenage parent. Okay. And honestly, I didn't know what parenting was, bro. Like, I was a little kid having a kid. So when the Where's the Love moment happened, that was when financially I was able to actually provide a stable home for my son, right? Although I had help from my mom, because I was still young. I was 21, 22. At least I have some form of stability financially to be able to take my son away from the way he was being brought up, to be able to give him now a home the way I was brought up. And so that was like, for me, that was a moment beyond any Bentley moment or any gold chain, or, and I bought a house, but it was like taking care of Josh was like, yo, I made it. And it was because of that Where's the Love money that brought me this opportunity to be a dad.
How old were you when you had Josh? You said you were a teenager.
17. I actually walked my graduation with a son, bro. Like I was like the only.
Nice.
It was crazy, dude. It was like, yeah, okay, this guy's not gonna make it. He's got a kid at 17, but it gave me the fire to be able to not give up on my dreams and my aspirations, even though I was a teen parent. And I'm not in any way, form, or fashion condoning teen parenting, but I am saying like it put a fire in my ass. And it just like, that was like okay, now I got to come to grips to be able to give my son a better opportunity of life, because I know that that's my motivation.
Of all those records, I would probably say that maybe Monkey Business was probably the hardest to create, because it's like, how do you keep the momentum up? Then that becomes bigger. So I don't even want to go to the E&D, but going into Monkey Business, what was the pressure like?
I mean, bro, like we went in there and actually tried to make hits. Elephant wasn't trying to make hits. We were just making records.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, what's popping over there? Oh shit, what's Timbaland doing? What's Pharrell doing? What's this person doing? Like, it was all over the place, being students and like, how can we compete? And so records like Don't Lie, which is my least favorite record, even though it was a smash. I don't like performing it. It's just then we had Don't Funk With My Heart, which is cool because we studied Bollywood and we liked that frequency, and we loved Lisa and the Cold Jam. Love that record. I Wonder If I Take You Home. Yeah, so that record, and it was like, oh, okay, this kind of sounds like Weekends from Bridging the Gap, which we sampled Debbie Deb. Look out, Weekends, because here we come. And so there was like a formula happening. And then we sampled Dick Dale, Misery Loop for Pump It. And then Will did My Humps. And then we finished it off with the James Brown joint, which was my favorite.
Yeah, talk about that session. I spun the shit out that record when I was jealous, man. How did that happen?
We were at the
We Don't Need No Music. Sorry, that's right.
They don't want music.
They don't want music.
Boom.
Yes.
Boom. That was our first boom boom song. And Mr. Brown, as he liked to be referred to. Don't call him James.
I'm Mr. Brown. Yes.
Mr. Brown. We met him at the Mobile Awards in London, and we're like, Mr. Brown, we're working on a new record. We're huge fans, B-boys. We love what you've done with, your work, blah, blah, blah. Giving them flowers. Well, I don't have to work with anybody, but something says that I need to work with the Black Eyed Peas. Well, yo.
Also a dope James Brown impression.
Yo. It's trying. But he says, okay, I'm gonna show up to the studio. We're recording at Metropolis in London. Metropolis Studios. He comes. He has his whole entourage. Bro, when I tell you this dude's a mega superstar, he walked in with a lady that combs his hair. So he's sitting down. Mr. Brown, they bring out a mirror. The lady sits down, combs his hair, and then he's like, okay, I'm ready. So it's into the zone, I'm ready. So we're like, okay, cool. So our band, they go in there, they start doing their thing. He's like, no. Everybody out. He brings his horn players. So his horn players are leading the dance.
That's them? Okay.
That's them. Oh, his horn players are leading the dance. We're like, oh, yo, just let him do his thing. So like, what kind of style can we bring to what James Brown's bringing, Mr. Brown's bringing? What about like that Greg Nice and that nice smooth joint? Yo, Dizzy Gillespie plays the sax. I like to match. So that's the frequency that we tapped into for the rap part that Will's doing with James Brown. And I just remember, like, after the session, we're breaking bread. He's sitting at the table and he's talking to us, and somebody comes over and starts cutting his food, like his meat, his steak. He has someone to cut his steak. He has someone to brush his hair, and then he goes like this, like, somebody comes and wipes his mouth.
Wait, what?
No.
Amir, you gotta start investing more.
Yeah, I
properly.
was like, wait a minute.
Amir, come on, man.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah, come on. Let's get
Wow.
That's like one of my favorite tracks of
Me
y'all's.
too. Me too, dude. Thank you. I mean, that record just came so natural, and the fact that we got Tip to start the song, you know, and he said something really special when we were on the road. It was with him, Dave Chappelle. He said, "Well, Black Eyed Peas, we want you guys to carry the baton of what we started and take it international. And all the stuff that you guys are doing international, you guys are representing the essence of the native tongue." So that was very important. And that was around that time, the Monkey Business era. But so, during that time, we also got to tour with amazing rock groups. Can I just tell you about the rock?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to know what tour life was like at this point in your life.
I mean, we're touring with I mean, Seven Dust, No Doubt, Gwen Stefani, Lit, Blink 182. It was just dope. Metallica. We were just touring with all these amazing rock groups because those are the type of festivals we were doing, and we're the only hip hop group part of that journey. So we learned how to perform in front of audiences that weren't necessarily hip hop audiences, and so our palette kind of expanded, and that's why we had we worked with Travis Barker and we worked with Papa Roach and all these rock groups so that we could learn how to bring that frequency as well and just be students of the game, and learn how to perform in front of these audiences that you better be doing something other than just playing instruments or just rapping, because they're gonna tell you, they're gonna throw stuff at you, they're gonna flip you off. So we're learning how to stage dive, we're learning how to do mosh pits, all that stuff around Europe and Australia, so that we can bring that same rock energy with the Black Eyed Peas essence.
Wow. Oh, this is a question I always wanted to know. Okay, so for the longest, I'll say that basically before the internet kind of colonized the world and had us all thinking like at the same time, whereas before you go to different territories and this section of town didn't get what New York has or that sort of thing. But there was a moment where I remember when you guys first came out, you guys went to Australia and you did Big Day Out, yep. Right?
Yes, loved it.
And I remember Jurassic 5 telling me, mm-hmm. we've yet to go to Australia. They're like, yo, dog, you got to come to Australia, man. Like, we play stadiums over there. And I was like, Jurassic 5 playing a stadium? Get the fuck out of here. And it's like, no, dog, like, you don't get it. Like, the artists that are club artists in the United States, when they go to Australia, they're like,
yeah,
mega. And he was like, yeah, man, Ben Harper plays stadiums. And he was like, yo, Black Eyed Peas can sell out a stadium. I was like, the Black Eyed Peas just opened for me last week. Can sell out a stadium.
Factory?
I literally, I was like, my mind was blown. But for you, what was the feeling to get, and yes, to put it in context, like Australia is just different. They're not really controlled by like corporate radio the way that it is over here with Clear Channel and that sort of thing, where playlists are determined. Like, still DJs play cool music over there. Like a person like Erykah Badu can still find space on pop radio along with whoever is like hitting pop and that sort of thing. Like, they've always been balanced that way. So as a result, a lot of the music that we like that's deemed underground music gets the same platform that something mainstream is. But for you, like, what was the feeling in breaking that ceiling and finally, getting to a point where I'm certain that, where Michael Jackson's like, hey, I'm a big fan of you guys. And like, what was that feeling like? Like, who are the people that you're meeting and those sort of things?
So being able to travel to Australia, you're seeing all these actors and actresses, and kind of like the experience of the Oscars world. That's the transition of going from like the music world to now meeting actors, actresses, directors. That's actually where we met James Cameron.
Wow.
Okay. And so you're meeting all these people, and you're getting this after effect of like, yo, I didn't know they liked our music, right? We're just kind of like nomads just traveling, and you don't feel the effects of the impact that you're having because you're just being you and you're just creating music. So we were just embracing the beauty that was Australia and is Australia, because they supported us before anyone before anyone actually gave us them flowers. It was Australia and New Zealand. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
This is my first plaque, Bridging the Gap.
Wow.
And it's from New Zealand. This is the first plaque that I actually got, gold.
Wow.
New Zealand. So that being said, New Zealand and Australia, they had love for us before any domestic. So especially on our first earlier work with Behind the Front and Bridging the Gap. So it just affirmed everything that we had been doing. We had been working towards being able to tour the world and be international and just bring that energy. And I would say Australia was probably the place where we spent most time, because we did the Big Day Out for months.
Right.
And every year we did it up until that point when they stopped doing it.
I have a theory about mega songs. Every mega song that I've ever known, from Louie Louie to Shout to Tequila, like mega songs that will never die. The story always starts the same, where it's like, oh, we created that in like 20 minutes. Like, we didn't really put calculated thought in it. You're co-creator of a mega song. Like, long after life ends or whatever, like, I seriously doubt that I Got a Feeling will ever go away or not be played at any function, be it wedding, celebration, bar mitzvahs. Yeah. The amount of times I've had to spin it as a DJ. What was the process in making that song?
I just remember Will talking about, yo, what's that song we're building? What's that song that plays at every freaking sporting event, wedding, the Earth, Wind, and Fire song? And I'm like, I think it's September. Yeah, we need something like that in that space where it's like everywhere, it's playing everywhere. Yo, we need something like Celebrate Good Time. Come on. Yeah, we do. We need something that's like gonna live, sporting events, colleges. Yo, we're gonna make a college anthem. Yo, college. Oh shit, let's make a college anthem. And it's the first time that we had ever created a song where all of us are singing at the same time. We had never done it before. Because every single song, like you said earlier, Amir, each one has a verse, or you have like a bridge or something. But in this song, we strategically said we want the energy of this song to feel like one.
The Greek chorus, yeah,
right. So I remember David Guetta sent the track to Will. He's like, "Oh, I have this remix for "The Love Is Gone," right? Now that the love is gone, remember that song?
Yeah.
So this is the remix track to that song.
Okay.
He didn't use it. So
really?
Yeah, he didn't use it. He's like, you guys can use it. So we used that track, and Will came up with that chorus. And then we all came to the studio and we started jumping around. Like I said, when we start jumping around, that's when you know it's something. The first time we performed it, it was a disaster. We performed it at Wango Tango. It was horrible, dude.
Where was it?
Wow.
Wango Tango, Kiss FM.
Okay.
Wango Tango, Ryan Seacrest. It was like, I want to say it was in Anaheim. We performed it and people were like,
nope.
We're like, uh-oh.
You were discouraged?
No, we're just like, uh-oh, this might not be the one. Maybe it's this other Boom Boom Pow song.
Right.
You gotta understand. There was a knockout punch. Boom Boom Pow came first.
Right.
Right.
That was at #1 for like 12 weeks.
Forever.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're like, yo, how do we outdo Boom Boom Pow? Because that was like, bro, we're already at #1, 12 weeks. And then we came with I Got a Feeling. And then it just knocked it out. And it just stayed on the charts. And then we're doing all the award shows, all the sporting events. We did the Super Bowl. We did the World Cup. That song is blowing up everywhere. And then it let us know that something that we thought was going to be a college anthem became an anthem that
the national.
Yeah, it's an anthem forever. So, you know, no, we didn't do it in 20 seconds or 20 minutes or 5 minutes. It was done. It was a nice process. Yes, it was quick, but the idea that we wanted to present to the world was something that was very unison and very connected as one.
So when you're having this level of success, and again, like the question was like, can you guys outdo Elefunk? Okay. Can you guys outdo Monkey Business? Okay. Can you outdo The End? At any point, and you know, I know that you went through this in your memoir, but what was the point where like this wasn't fun anymore? Or has it ever been a time where it's just like, was there ever a be careful for what you ask or wish for a moment for you?
Right.
For me, Will and App, I'm only speaking for us because you know, I can't say anything of the ladies that journeyed with us because maybe they had the same experience.
Right.
But man, I love being on that stage with my brothers, bro. Like that's like our livelihood. When we're on stage, we're 17-year-old kids that just love performing and love, you know, creating music and performing for the world. So there's never a moment other than that moment when we took a break. That shit was bullshit, bro. That's like suicide. That 8-year break. That 8-year break from 2011 to 2019 when we put out Ritmo with J Balvin, when Sylvia Rhone signed us, and we went from Interscope to Sony, and then we had success with Sylvia Rhone and reinvented ourselves as a trio, which that's how we started. But that time period of being away for 8 years, yes, I got cancer in 2014, but man, we were very lucky to come out of that 8-year hiatus. Because usually groups are gone for 8 years, they're gone. There's no way you could come back. Did we come back at a feeling level? No.
So how's that conversation happen? Are you guys actively communicating with each other and saying like, hey, need a break, need to have some me time, we'll reconvene in a year?
Right. No, it was you know, it wasn't a choice that me, Will, and Apple had. I'm just being honest with you guys. That's the reality. We would have kept going. We're at the height of our career. Why stop? But I get it. You know, not all of us wanted to continue. And so that being said, when it came back to coming back to wanting to do music again, this is after I battled cancer.
Right.
I reached out to Will. I reached out to Apple. I reached out to Ferg. I said, yo, I'm ready. I need this to rejuvenate my life. I need my healing, performing. Black Eyed Peas, we need to do it again. Will and Apple were like, let's go. And that's what it is. Me, Will, and Apple are going. And that's how it's going to be. And fortunately, at that time, Apple the App met a singer from the Philippines named J. Ray Soul. Right. And she was a young artist that inspired him to be able to bring her to the U.S. and give her an opportunity to be able to you know, to journey with the Black Eyed Peas and just be part of this amazing new, I guess you can say this new lease on life, because like I said, we were on Interscope and then we got dropped and then we got picked up by Sylvia Rhone. Huh?
Explain to me the process of getting dropped by Interscope when you're literally one of their biggest money makers.
Well, Jimmy was gone, bro. Like Jimmy was now Beats World. He's like, I don't have anything to do with Interscope.
So who took over Interscope?
John Janik and Steve Berman.
Berman? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know,
I believe Berman is the cat. If you remember the Dre Day video, when he's playing the role of Jerry Heller, I didn't realize like, wow, Berman took over Interscope. Okay.
Yeah. So we put out Master of the Sun, and they're like, this ain't it. This is not what we want from Black Eyed Peas. And so that album was great, but not to them.
That's my favorite one. Yeah.
So in their eyes, it was a failure. It wasn't what they expected. And so they're like, you know what, we're gonna part ways. I think we've exhausted all the energy, the years. Thank you for all your contribution, but we're not gonna renew the contract. So Will,
how's that make you feel?
We're like, yo, what are we gonna do? And like Will always does, Will's like, don't worry about it, guys. We're gonna figure it out. So I trust him. Since I was 17, he's always been the, don't worry about it, guys. We're gonna figure it out. And that energy was like, yeah, we are gonna figure it out. It's all good. We got songs.
Right.
We got, relationships. So we had this song called Ritmo that we recorded with J Balvin.
Right.
So I remember Zeke from Sony comes to the studio and he hears it. And he's like, yo, I'm working on this soundtrack. Would love this song to be part of the soundtrack. And so Will's like, yeah, but we want this for us. Like, we want this to be a Black Eyed Peas joint off of our new project. He's like, well, what label are you on? He's like, we're not on the label. So he leaves the studio, calls Sylvia Rohn. Sylvia Rohn shows up to the studio. Will plays the record for her, and she's like, great, I love this record. Let's put it on the Bad Boys 3 soundtrack with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith before the slap. And so he does that. Zeke is like, yo, this is the future of Black Eyed Peas, this whole Latin Afrobeat fusion, whatever you guys are doing with this frequency, it's international and it's popping right now. We're gonna sign Black Eyed Peas to Sony, to Epic. So we get signed. We create this album, which was Translation, which we put out during the pandemic. We still put out a record. We had songs like Girl Like Me with Shakira. We had Mamacita with Ozuna. Viva Loca with Nicky Jam and Tyga. So all these records just represented where we were at in that state of our career and how we were inspired by these Latin Afrobeat rhythms that were happening around the world. And so that was kind of our nod to that. And then we created another record, which we put out called Elevation. And that one featured Don't You Worry with Shakira and David Guetta. And then we did a record with Anita from Brazil and El Alfa. And the next record we're dropping is with Daddy Yankee.
After having done it all, like what is left for you as far as like in terms of what you would like to achieve with the group?
With the group, docuseries, be able to make the Black Eyed Peas movie, whatever that means. Do it in a way where it's like Stranger Things, fantasy, kind of.
It should be a scripted series. Like I don't think it's a movie. It's a series.
Like the Beatles did a docuseries. Like the Beatles did Yellow Submarine, where it's kind of like mystic, magical, something like that. Whereas you can add fantasy because we're big sci-fi guys. We love Stranger Things and just that whole creativity of creating stuff that's not just a typical like, oh, these are hip hop kids, and then they became popular around the world. It's like, no, we want to tell all these amazing stories, like cancer survivor and tech guy. He calls himself the Black Iron Man because he's all about tech. And then you got this kid from the Philippines who was a farmer that didn't speak English and came to America. First person he met was will.i.am. So all these crazy stories, you want to do it in a way where it's like it's a little bit sensationalized and it's entertaining and still appealing to the eye.
I see. Well, man, dude, this is definitely worth the wait. And for this is like our first in-depth conversation with each other, man. So I'm really glad that we got this. Wait, Steve, you about to say something?
No, I was about to come wipe something off your mouth for you.
Me?
That's that.
Where?
That's that.
James Brown joke,
man. I just want to do a little promo real quick on something that's important to me. So I invested in this company called A Kid's Book About, which I sent it to you.
Yes.
The first book that I wrote is called A Kid's Book About Identity, and then we have a whole series of other books like, A Kid's Book About Mindfulness, Kid's Book About Addiction, Kid's Book About Anxiety, and it's all about having uncomfortable conversations with kids, because a lot of times parents tiptoe around these conversations. And so we said, no, why don't we have these books where we actually unlock those and make it a comfortable conversation out of something that's very uncomfortable to some families. And so, you know, it's something that I invested in because I want to be able to give back. Just like I'm telling you, dude, Kobe really inspired me. Being with Kobe, being around him and seeing how he went from being a basketball player to actually being, you know, winning an Oscar, just like you, writing books, almost creating an animation studio inspired by his daughter. So this is just
So what's the name of the book series?
a kid's book about.
And where do we find that online?
You get that on Amazon. You can get it on kidsbookabout.com. And basically, it's all these different writers, authors, kids that are doing the forward, so that you empower the kids to really be part of this journey. Along with the books that I'm writing for Marvel, being an author is very important to me because then I'm able to inspire, just like we did with lyrics. Like now, I'm putting that same energy and that same approach to writing. Eventually, wanting to do my own script and create the first Native American feature film that will live in that same Marvel space that Black Panther lives. So that's my goal. And I'm doing my due diligence. I'm putting in the groundwork and putting in my 10,000 hours to be able to transition from music into being a creator and a screenwriter and eventually one day, knock on wood, a director.
A film, yes, sir.
Make it happen. I mean,
Yes,
you lived a life in which, you know, you made moves with no trepidation, and you know, you put your foot forward. So that's definitely going to happen for you.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate that. And again, Fonte, thank you, man. Thank you for the inspiration. I hope you
Absolutely,
feel better.
yeah. Thank you, brother.
I want to say Tariq and Pharaoh Munch are my two favorite MCs of all time.
I shall relay that to him.
And honestly, we didn't touch on De La, bro, and that was something very important because when you text me about Dave and that piece you guys put together, everybody put together, that was beautiful, man. So,
well, thank you for being a part of that, man.
Yeah, I want to dedicate this one to Dave, bro, and his impact that he had on all of us and what De La means to us. And now with their music being on all streaming platforms, I'm proud of Pasta Noose and Mace and Dave.
I'm still listening to music like it just came out yesterday. Yep. On behalf of the QLS crew, on behalf of Laia, Cousin Jake, Fontigolo, Sugar Steve, and Unpaid Bill came home from his cigarettes. Thank you, Taboo, for joining us.
Thanks,
and this
Taboo.
is Questlove. We will see you on the next go round of Questlove Supreme. All right. See you.